And this is another part of the legend of Southwick. It is because he got to ride in the B session. The riders that had not scored points ride in a different practice session, and the track was smooth.
Yeah, Keys, it was a lot smoother, and it gives these guys an opportunity, kind of like a mud race. They can get some of these guys. But right now, as you can see, all these guys, they're getting that mind right. We're watching everyone, hyping themselves up. And here at Southwick, that's where it's got to start. Your mind's got to be right. Understand it's going to be a long, long day. Just embrace it, and if you do, you might have a chance to go out here at least have some fun.
And those are the KTM keys to the Moto. We'll race for 30 minutes and 2 laps, twice in each class. And the Fly Racing 30-second card is already up. So things are going to happen in a hurry here at Southwick. How much has the track changed from qualifying? But you've been talking all weekend, James. You might feel good at the beginning of the day. It's going to be a long one.
The mind's going to start off right.
Okay.
See how it ends, but yeah, I mean, for all these guys, right now, just focus on this gate drop.
And Deegan had the fastest times in the seeded group. Second overall in qualifying. Revs are up, gates down. And Deegan looks good going into turn 1. Can he control it coming out? He's got Chance Hymas next to him. Deegan has the motosport.com whole shot.
This is exactly, if I'm Hayden Deegan, exactly what I wanted. Coming to one of my worst tracks, get out front, throw a little whip for the crowd. Great start.
Levi Kitchen moving into second now around Hymas and closing back to Deegan.
Yeah, good to see Levi up there. It's been a few weeks since he's been out front, so let's see if he still remembers that pace that B's up there as we're watching Hayden Deegan somewhat get away. But nice to see Chance Hymas. He looks a little bit more aggressive. Part of that probably he wants to get in front of Levi and not let Hayden get too far away.
Vial is fourth, and we hear that Shimoda, Joe Shimoda and Max Anstey both in some trouble there in turn 1. Oh, that's the second time Kitchen almost went down.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Maybe he hasn't been up here, so that pace being up front, maybe a little bit quick for him. And this track's completely different than what it was in practice, so these guys got to take that chance and get used to it, but also hang on there because Hayden Deegan's starting to get away a little bit.
Wow, that is scary to be moving away that quickly. Next in line, there's Vial in fourth. And then the 5'11" of Nick Romano and the 17. One of the better starts we've seen so far for Joey Savacci this year on the Triumph.
Yeah, what you're going to watch with Levi, it seems like now he's starting to calm down a little bit. If he can just calm down, maybe he can get a chance to hang on with Chance Hymas, JT, and see if he can get rolling.
Yeah, speaking of Chance Hymas, I felt like the start was going to be so important for him today because remember, he got hurt right before this race last year, had a great high point, then tore his ACL leading up to Southwick. So this is the first time he's seen race conditions here, and getting out front, getting with the leaders and learning the pace, being able to watch their lines is going to be such a coup for him at his first time here.
And well, we'll see how much he's learned riding the sand in Florida with the Lawrence brothers. Did I see Vial get around Kitchen? Yes, he's up to third.
Yeah, I was wondering what Tom was going to do because he's been pretty fast the last few weeks. He's just obviously been hitting the ground. So you wonder, does he have that confidence to be able to chase down Hayden? And if so, is he going to let this race come? And now we're looking at Max Anstey. Looks like that's a bike issue right there.
Wow, Anstey making his debut, or return, I should say. He rode for this team 14 years ago, Star Racing, and it's over just like that.
Yeah, and that was his second crash, so tough to see Max. That's unusual to see a bike that's out this early in the race, so I wonder what else happened. But now you're starting to see on top of our screen, Tom Vial is starting to close in on Chance Hymas. So what I was mentioning, he's been fast for the last few weeks. He's been throwing it away. So does he let this race come to him, or does he push it and try to get up to Hayden? Because right now, I think if you let Hayden just run away, then everything that happened last year was last year, and he'll just continue how he's been all year.
Well, for Tom Vial, we talked about how important this race was, and I think he felt like he was going to win all year. Last year was really a breakout ride. He had huge expectations leaving here last year. But for a guy who's looking to win a championship, I believe that the races you think you're going to win, guess what you have to do? You have to win. So if he has any hopes of reeling the points back in, 38 points is a lot, but when it's your day, when it's your best track, and it's also Hayden Deegan, a track that he admittedly struggles on, you have to come in here and win. So Hayden Deegan has done the hard yards already, getting the start and getting out front. But for Tom Vial, he has to come here and prove a point.
Well, Deegan already did some hard yards last week. There was an open practice at this track, so His team came all the way up. They brought the bikes from Florida all the way up to Massachusetts, and they rode 2 days last week. Deegan said he didn't really have to change the bike much, but he learned a ton about line selection on the track, and he's been fast since the moment he's gotten on the track this weekend, and now a 3-second lead.
Yeah, clearly he's learned something, because, I mean, Hayden last year wasn't even up in front of these guys. I know Chance Hymas wasn't here, but to me, he's figured it out as we're watching Tom trying to get around Chance right here. And I think for both of them, they don't want to slow each other down, because the last thing they want to do is allow Hayden to get away even more, and then they're going to have to try to push up to go. And I think the biggest thing them, just keep that momentum going and see if you can close that gap, AC.
Yeah, for Chance Hymas, I think it's a big moment for him, being a young rider. When you get to these tracks, when you get to these East Coast tracks, especially Southwick, fitness really starts to become a factor. You really start to figure out if you're a real guy, if you can do this every weekend, if you can be up front, and you also can start proving it to yourself as well. So I think it's a big moment for him to last strong and be good in both of these motos until the end.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. And that has really maybe been the biggest surprise of the year, that Hymas has been a podium-level rider in every moto so far this season, but he has never been to Southwick before until this weekend, and never rode the track until this morning. And now, did he just pull away from Vial, or did Vial make a few mistakes because the gap stretched out?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I
mean,
Chance is starting to get confidence, and what's going to happen is that, yeah, Hayden, as long as that gap kind of stays the same, even though it's almost 4 seconds, for Chance, he'll start getting confidence of, okay, he's not pulling away from me, so not being here is going to help him and probably close that gap. But what also, why he was able to pull away from Tom, I think Tom in some of these slower parts, he backs off so he doesn't get roosted. So you'll see a lot of these guys play that yo-yo effect and not being too close, because, again, vision can cost you a race here as well, and that's what we're seeing with Tom, I believe. As I say that, looks like Chance Hymas is starting to really find the flow, and I think that's because he was keeping that gap to within 4 seconds until then.
Pretty wild that you describe these battles every week with the confidence can change in half a lap sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like as I was talking, it's like 3 seconds, then it goes to 4.
Yeah.
It really just comes down if he blew a corner, and if Hayden got through it clean, that gap changes back and forth quite a bit. So maybe that he's not a lot slower, just might have made a mistake, AC.
Just watching Hayden Deegan here, we all know, as we were saying in practice, he has this very aggressive riding style. But what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing a guy that's being patient, taking a lot of time. James, you talk about it all the time, but the roll speed, he's really looking ahead. And as you see him jumping over the top of that, I mean, he just looks like he's flowing right now. He's being a lot more patient than he was this time last year. So he's using that kind of aggressive riding style, but he's also being smart about where he uses his energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason he's able to do that is because he's got a gap on those guys. So imagine if Tom was closer or Chance was closer, Hayden wouldn't be able to ride that way. Right now, he's got that gap that he can manage that. So he is doing that. It's going to be up to those guys to keep closing, to have him hopefully make mistakes like you just saw right there. But he's not going to make it if he's 5 seconds out front. Those guys are not closing him.
I asked Deegan this morning about his performance here last year, and he said, I actually felt fast. He said, Moto 2, though, I was just tired. So maybe that's part of the conserve a little more energy this time. Send it back to JT.
Well, and I think for Hayden Deegan, too, he continues to answer every question that's being asked. Hey, can you manage a series? Can you become the guy in the wake of Hunter Lawrence and Justin Krupin leaving the series? He's saying, yes. Hey, we're going to the most difficult track for you, a track where you really struggled 2023. Can you still be that guy? He's answering again, yes. So when you watch for superstars to be born, these unanswered questions, when they go in and they check every box, that's when they really come into their own. And I think that's what this weekend is about for Hayden Deegan. Everybody, to a man, was wondering how he would respond to this racetrack. He's getting an A+ so far.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Gap still over 4 seconds over Hymas. Checking out the battle for 5th down here. Romano, Savacci, Ryder DiFrancesco, and Jalek Swoll, I think, has climbed into that battle as well. So a pair of the Triumph riders. And Swoll and Savacci, talking to them yesterday, they admitted it has been a learning curve for the new bike. First time Triumph ever raced on this motorcycle in this series. And now they got to figure out sand for the first time.
Yeah, well, I think for Joey Angelique, they ride down in Florida quite a bit, so they understand sand, and they've been here, and they've actually had great performances. So really going to come down to is just the team and having some data, which they don't have. But it could be a good or bad thing. Sometimes you come here, if you don't have that data, then you don't have to worry about that the bike's bad. You're going to find out as a team together.
I love this concept of yours.
That's team manager style. So, you know, hey, there's no excuses here. We don't know how good it is or bad it is. So for those guys, they're riding good. But who's riding really good is Hayden Deegan, man. He looks really good as these guys are battling down in the box.
No doubt about it. So, yeah, James, you're saying that sometimes you come in knowing, oh, man, it's going to be tough. And they don't know either way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I already know look, the bike doesn't work here, I show up at this track already beat pretty much. So that's what I was saying with those guys. It could be a good thing. At least, you know, I'm going to just make it a good thing for him. So
gotta find what you can. Looks like Masterpool has jumped into this battle as well. He's a 33 of Swole, battling it out with Romano. Savacci has moved ahead of them. There's the 29 of Masterpool. And then Kitchen would be the next rider ahead of this group. See what Masterpool can do. Last week's winner.
Yeah, you know, Ty's riding a lot of confidence from last weekend, feeling like now he was able to hold Hayden off. I mean, in Ty's mind, he went down as well, so everything was equal. So you know he's feeling pretty confident, and Ty is a very, not aggressive rider, but a gritty rider, so this track's going to fit him well, just his mindset. So if he can keep moving forward and hopefully catch his teammate a few seconds in front of him.
Tried to get Romano, couldn't quite pull it off. Now Pierce Brown into the fight as well in the red Shirley Designs Red Bull Gas. Another attempt from Masterpool. Another good defense by the 5'11 of Romano.
Yeah, Nick's just going down the insides, and that's the part where he's at right now. You can see Ty's number plate is covered. But Southwick, it gives you a lot of opportunities to make some passes. There's a lot of insides or outsides, but you got to catch the guy in the right spot. Otherwise, he can just move over like Nick just did right there, and there's nothing Ty can do about it. Yeah,
he's tried, what, 4 or 5 outside lines. None of them have worked.
Yeah, and you can see he just tried pulling the tear off. It loses the rear end because there's such a hard base. He can get him maybe right here. This is one of the faster parts of the racetrack. Let's see if he can get up the inside of Nick and beat him to the corner.
Oh, he tries it. You called it.
There you go. And that part you can't see on camera, but it's a little off camera. So when Nick got on the outside, Ty had just a straight beeline to that corner, and he had him beat.
So Masterpool up to 7. Oh, was that contact? Yeah. Brown and Romano.
Yeah, you can try to do that as well. Yeah, you know, it's racing. Nick slid and Pierce did as well. And this is another part. You got to funnel back into one line. And then right here, by some mechanics here, is the same section. Let off the brakes, and let's see if he can. Is that Jordan Smith?
Yeah, Jordan Smith going to pass them both while they're battling each other. He's got the move.
Roll speed.
Send it to Adam.
This is a very important part of the race here for these guys. It's especially with how deep this 250 field is. This 5 to 10 area, if you're not going forward, if you're not passing guys, most of the time you're going the other way. So for Masterpool to make that move on Romano, quick, decisive move, that could have changed his whole day. So really important to be decisive. And even if you hear somebody behind you, don't think behind you. Keep thinking forward.
Yeah, and then to expand on Adam's point, where's Ty at? You don't even see him in this shot. That's because he was able to get around him and gone, and now he's chasing his teammate down. So it's important, yeah, to continue that momentum. And once you get stuck behind these guys, it not only just slows you down there, but it just breaks your rhythm for the whole racetrack.
And next rider in line, the 34, that's rider DeFrancesco, and then behind him, Dylan Schwartz. It takes you all the way back to 12th. Masterpool in 7th. So that's 5 riders in a pack. And Masterpool got the jump on them. He'll try to go after Swole. Swole trying to run down his teammate Savacci. DeFrancesco around the outside of Romano.
Yeah, he's been trying to get around him for a little while now. They made contact earlier in that lap. So I think for him or maybe that was his teammate, Pierce Brown, I believe.
Yeah, up ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going the wrong way right now. He's still got a clean number plate because he's been leading these other guys, but for him, he's got to just regroup, get back in the flow, and start racing the racetrack. Clearly, he's making, I think it's his line selection. Some of these lines that, like this section right here, maybe get on the inside where Ty was able to get around them, as he does that right now.
Yeah.
So let's see how that plays out. But for sure, as Adam said, in the 250 class, they're coming. They're coming. Whether you're in first, 10th, they're coming. There's no breaks here.
Oh, yeah, this class goes so deep. I mean, you see now Schwartz there on the Suzuki, the Barax Toyota Redland Suzuki. That is 12th. Dax Bennett, 13th. They're all close. Schwartz been hovering around the top 10, been quietly effective this year.
Yeah, and you start to wonder, like, is it a little bit the track conditions? Because I know this track's a lot deeper than it was earlier in practice. So maybe they made a bike setup that was a change, expecting there was going to be different conditions.
Oh, Romano under attack again. DeFrancesco, he's making them work for it, though. He keeps making them go around the outside. DeFrancesco outside leads to inside here, and he pulls it off.
Yeah, I think he...
Oh, and Schwartz tangles, but Romano goes down. Oh, did he just get hit by Cochran?
Yeah, he got hit by Casey. He was getting up and got caught by, and that's tough for sure. He got caught in 2 bad situations for sure. That's tough.
Oh, you hate to see that. Got tagged. Oh, we go back to this. Looks like Vial is taking second from Hymas.
Yeah, I was looking at the lap times, and Tom was starting to lose a lot of time.
First, we have the Schwartz crash.
Yeah, so Nick slides out in front of him. He catches his rear tire. Now he gets up, and yeah, he got caught by the wheel right there. That's a tough break for him. There was nothing Casey could do on that.
So then we reset this second and third place position. Hymas now third, and Vial 8 seconds behind the leader, Deegan.
All right, now Tom's got a clean track. Let's see what he can do. I mean, it's going to be important for him to at least start closing that gap down, because as you can see, Hayden's really quick and Rotten really comfortable, and where he's really fast at is right past his mechanics area in section 2. He's almost got like a second on these guys as far as just his timing is the speed wise, and I believe it's coming right here. He gets through this mechanics area, he hops over this, and then he jumps out farther than anybody else I've seen, and now he's making that almost like a double. So you see how much easier it is, and his momentum he's carrying. I believe that's where Hayden's gaining all his time at, is right there off that single.
That is incredible. He's jumping so much further, but the landing is actually smoother. I'll get to you a second on that. You can learn a lot more about this team with Super Motocross Beyond the Gate. That's the exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the team that Deegan rides for, Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing. Deegan's a part of that show. New episodes air every Friday on the Yamaha Motor USA channel on YouTube. So yeah, he found that's not a natural double jump landing, right?
No, it's not natural. And if you watch Hayden, yeah, he's going all over the track. And I think the cool part with him is he's not breaking the momentum, as I mentioned earlier. Like this stop and go, like he's not doing that. And it's almost like he's going from the left side down the middle to the right side, and he's keeping a whole arc. And almost like it's like playing solitaire, really, or Tetris. Like he's putting the blocks where they need to go. And I think Hayden's figured out how to do this really well. He makes a little mistake right there, but still, how much energy the kid's saving by jumping that far, Jason.
Yeah, and it also has the start dialed. We're going to show you the motosport.com whole shot replay, and you see Deegan getting the drop.
Looked like Chance Hymas had a shot, but Hayden had the right angle, and it was about 3 seconds off that opening lap he had on these guys already.
And here's that big jump coming up. That's where he collects the lead over the first rise, and then the big jump after that really started to stretch the lead, and he hasn't stopped. There it is.
Doing the whip for him.
Now, by the way, that ferocious battle we were talking about, fifth on back, Savachi, Swole Brown, Masterpool, and Smith all just turned in their fastest lap of the moto at the same time, and we're past the halfway mark. So that shows you the intensity in that pack. But still, they're about 6 seconds behind Kitchen, who's all by himself in fourth. The Deegan fans loving this. Here's the big jump. Let's listen in the corner. Send it to JT.
Watching the mechanics boards down here, the KTM crew is going absolutely bonkers, trying to get Vial's intensity up. He's turned 2 laps in a row ever since he's got around Chance Hymas that have been quicker than Hayden Deegan's laps. And every time Vial comes by and sees that lead, they're giving him the -8. -7. Every time that comes down, it feeds into both psyches. For Deegan, he starts worrying a little bit more, thinking about for Vial, and for Vial, it starts building confidence and building momentum. So these next few laps are really pivotal. If Deegan can hold the lead here, I think that's going to crush Vial's spirits. We know how strong Hayden Deegan is late in these motos, but if Vial can make this a battle down the last few laps, you have to think about what that does to Deegan's psyche on the other way as well.
Tom is definitely sending it here, James.
Yeah, Tom's definitely sending it, and he had a great run through that corner and hopped over that jump, just got a little wide, kind of almost jumped off the racetrack. But to me, he's pulled away from Chance quite a bit. He looks really aggressive, looks comfortable. He just lost so much time in the beginning. Now he's really got to try to push it if he has any chance on catching Hayden. And I do believe if he's able to close that gap, I've noticed Hayden's been looking around and he hasn't seen that gap close down. So I think for him, if he keeps it, as JT said, he might hold this thing off for sure.
Well, Vial had gotten it to the 6s, then it went back over 7. Now next sector is 6.8. Is this one of these tracks where we're going to see a bigger variance, one section of the track to the other, gaining and losing time?
Yeah, I mean, it was 8 and then earlier in this lap, and then it got, as you said, 6.2. So a lot of that comes down to where the timing is and if the speed difference, where Tom gets caught up behind a lap rider and makes one mistake. So for sure, it could go down, fluctuate within 2 seconds in one lap. Doesn't mean actually he's going that much faster. It could be one mistake from Hayden or, you know, vice versa.
Let's watch Vial here on the attack. Gap back to 6.5. And he was faster, 0.8 quicker than Deegan last time around. So that's, I think, 3 laps in a row where he's made up a little bit of ground.
Yeah, you see Tom right there. He wasn't able to jump as far as Hayden. Now, that's just less time he's on the ground. I mean, for Hayden, less resistance against the motorcycle. And also, it's a lot smoother. And Tom will have to go and pick up on that in between motos.
Back to AC.
Especially here at Southwick, it's very important to move around, keep your head on a swivel, as I say, be looking for better lines. And why that's difficult as a racer is when you're out there on your sight lap, you pretty much have every single line that you're going to take on the first lap picked out. You go out there, you stick to your plan, you go to those lines, and you get used to those lines, and eventually it becomes scary, the thought of trying a different line, especially with this situation that Vial and Deegan are in. They're so close in time that you don't want to try a new line and have it be way worse. So it's really important to look ahead and adapt as the moto goes on, especially here at Southwick.
Thanks, Adam. And this graphic here showing the fastest lap times, that was the last time around. The best lap time in the moto was Deegan, a 2:11. So they are 4 seconds off of the pace early in this moto. James, good time to talk about how much the track changes in sandy conditions like this.
Yeah, this track is changing night and day every lap. It was a lot harder earlier in practice, and you can see what's happening with these guys. They're trying to push it, but there's such a hard base on this floor that if you're not up in the berms, these guys are just spinning up and just pushing and going into corners, which makes them bury the motorcycle. And by burying, I mean they're going into it and they're slamming into the corners, not because they're going in there too fast, but because like the bike is always moving here at Southwick, and it just pushes them up in there in the corners too quickly, and then they just lose that momentum. And then that's why you get that variance in time difference of a second here and there, just because one, you stuck it in the corner, and hopefully these guys can figure that out, but it's difficult.
Vial does it again, a 2:15.7 to Deegan's 2:16.3, so he picks up another 0.6. Is there a point where Deegan is managing the gap a little bit, or would he not want this to be happening?
No, I don't think Hayden wants this to happen at all, but as you can see, we'll see how much time that Tom was lost right there because that lap rider was in his line, and he was closing it, and it might be because Hayden's getting caught up in that same lap traffic as well. So it's cat and mouse, but I think as long as Tom is chipping off, whether he ends up winning this moto or not, it's going to give him confidence for the next one. So I know Hayden, his attitude, he doesn't want that gap to go down at all because he just wants to signify, I was managing it and you can't catch me at all. And I think he's allowing Tom to be there.
And a few more lap riders. Deegan just past that tree. The 2 riders you see in front are lap traffic. Deegan's in the white gear going around them.
Yeah, there's going to be a point here if Tom can't get around these lap riders. Let's say he loses
2 of them.
time.
Yep. He's
right
in the
here,
orange.
He's
Yep.
probably going to start thinking for that next moto because he's got, 14 seconds over Chance Hyman. So you might as well, in motocross, you got 2 motos. So whether you beat him this one, you have another opportunity here in an hour. He might just start resting for that next one if he can't get around these guys.
And for the moment, it is back up to 6.5. It was 5.8. So we'll see at the end of the lap. Has Deegan responded with a quicker lap, or was it Vial who had a bad lap? But right now, as JT said, Deegan answering all questions. Sand track, no problem so far.
Yeah, you hear that motorcycle. I mean, yeah, you can hear the thing revving out here and there. But one thing at Southwick, you're going to hear these guys shift the motorcycle quite a bit more. Probably, if they do it 10 times, they'll probably do it 20 times here. And the reason they do that is because they got to keep the bike in a lower RPM so it doesn't spin up and keep it going. As you can see, Hayden losing the front end in that corner. But I like his lines. Here at Southwick, you can be very patient, like what we saw with Hayden. He's going in there, sitting in the corners, getting the bike up on the edge of the tire. I mean, off the edge of the tire, JT.
Yeah, and he's trying to be creative. A lot about what Adam said about his lines. He's looking around. He's losing the front end there, but he's avoiding the bumps. He's going inside of the bumps, getting out of that main line that's getting rougher and rougher. So I like the fact that he doesn't have tunnel vision here. He's keeping an open mind, and as the track evolves, so is his line choice.
What's evolving is that lead.
Yeah, and it's because both of them got slower, but Vial much more so. Deegan ran a 2:17.4. Remember, they were in the 2:15s 2 laps ago, but Vial ran a 2:19.
Yeah, I think what happened was Tom, his opportunity was to catch Hayden was when Hayden was in those lap riders. So once Tom got there, they started slowing him down as well. And now I think he's just going to start riding this thing out and just get ready for the next moto because he lost that toe early in the race.
And it'll only be the 3rd time that a rider has gone wire to wire in a 250 moto this year. They've been super competitive. We had 4 different leaders in a moto last time out at High Point. Back to JT.
Well, for Hayden Deegan, if you told him, hey, you can come in here, win the first moto, and guess what? You could leave here with the status quo. You may have a chance to extend your points lead at the track you were most concerned with. That is a huge win. Almost, you start thinking about what this does to the championship. If these guys can't take any points out of him at a track that everybody had questions on, where are they supposed to do it?
You know what, though, JT? I think that's in the past. When I talked to Deegan this morning, he said, you know what? I'm at the point now where I feel I can beat anyone on any track. That's the kind of swagger we have seen Deegan building a bit last year as a rookie, but more so this year. I don't know if he's surprising himself.
No, I mean, I think that, that's his mindset.
Yeah.
But there was a reason why he came here and rode and practiced. So I bet he felt like that after he got more comfortable here at Southwick, JT.
And Weege, I have no doubt that he's saying something like that. You hear the comments that he makes. And I always say you can say whatever you want if you back it up. And every step of the way this season, he has backed it up. He talks trash to another rider. Guess what? He goes out and beats them. He says he can beat anybody at even this racetrack. Guess what? He goes out and does it. So until somebody steps up and stops him, why would he not?
Absolutely, JT. And then I've heard you say this on your show, James. The other riders hear that stuff. It's mind games on and off the racetrack.
Yeah, I think Hayden uses that as just like a tool, like a suspension tool. It's not he's not purposely trying to disrespect the riders. As we're watching these guys battle for 6 down here, going at it.
Masterpool and Swole, yeah.
Yep, they still been going at it all race.
They have.
Not like Hayden's trying to disrespect them, but he's also saying, how he feels and letting the other guys know that there's no weakness. Like, to be able to say the things that he says and then go out there and, do it. How can you beat a guy like that? And at the same time, I think that's why they don't say anything back, because I don't know if they feel like they can beat him. And it's all because of the confidence of Hayden Deegan, and he's backing it up.
Just keeps on growing as we watch his battle in the bottom box. Kitchen is 4th. Then it is Savatgy. And then the battle is Swole and Masterpool. Savatgy 5th, Swole 6th, Masterpool 7th. And about 2 minutes and 2 laps left to see if Masterpool can get to him.
Yeah, it looks like Todd's been back there pretty much this whole race ever since he got around Pierce Brown, or no, it's the teammate Nick Romano. He's been moving forward, but Jalik has been clinging on to his teammate, which is a few seconds in front of him. But nice to see these guys out here in battle. And like I said, that battle never stops here in this 250 class. It just continues going.
Oh, yeah, you can go back to 20th place. You can probably find riders close. Swole trying to hold last week's winner, Masterpool, off. Not a great start for Masterpool in this one. He did rumble from outside the top 10 into 7th.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, some of them are running roll-offs instead of tear-offs. And normally, the only time you see guys with roll-offs is at muddy races. So it just shows you how important vision is, that they would go with something that has a little bit more options or links on vision pools and roll-offs.
Super Motocross playoffs coming in September. They offer some of the most unique fan experiences in all of professional sports. Find out more. Go to feldexperiences.com and become part of the action.
I believe we just lost Jalik right there. I think his motorcycle, something happened to his bike, because I saw him on the inside of the track like he was kicking a bike, looking down at it.
That's a triumph, but that's Savachi. So let's see if Swole is no longer in this battle. He's not on timing and scoring. That's 5th, Savachi. Working really hard in the set. There it is for Swole. Bike problem.
And so when you talk about not having the data, and you can tell that is a bike problem, he's frustrated. I mean, he basically wrote 30 minutes to now go back. This is where the data, so next year they come here, they'll know, okay, the bike overheats, you know, so we have to put different coolant or whatnots, and this is where it would hurt you at, as far as the team-wise, not being able to have that data to know what happens when the bike gets here at Southwick.
Brand new bike, brand new race team. And now, going to be closing in on 2 to go for the leader, Deegan. Juju Beaumer, the rookie, has a problem here. Let's watch on the bottom. Oh.
Yeah, you can see the rocks in that track, but I believe, is this the first time Juju's been here?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's figuring out this just like Chance Hyman is as well, and you can see the bike smoking a little bit, but that's just how hard base on Southwick. You think it's all sand, and then next thing you know, you're sliding on concrete.
As we watch Deegan here, James, yeah, we had our qualifying show, Race Day Live. You guys talked so much about having to be patient and not be too aggressive. And I think that we're seeing here. You want to send it, got to be careful.
Yeah, but like right here, like he'll go down the inside, and you see how he sits down, basically gets back, and now that's all smooth. And the only way you can do that is by being patient, and Hayden's done that. So again, this track, it's a long day of racing. That's how you got to look at it. It's not one moto, it's 2 motos. It's a long day of racing, and Hayden's figured it out well.
Fly Racing going to present a little look in on a team. You got the Monster Yamaha Star Racing riders. Deegan leading. Jordan Smith is 7th. Romano has drifted back to 16th. Daxton Bennick is 14th. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see what Max Ansky had. Looked to have a bike problem right off the start in this one. Deegan has 2 to go.
I mean, you hear that motorcycle, it's so low. It's kind of like what we were seeing a couple weeks ago with Jet Lawrence. But again, there's a way you have to ride this racetrack, and Hayden's figured that part out. And to be patient like he is, you got to be up front, because if you were in Tom Piau's position, you wouldn't be able to ride this way. You would have to push, you would have to charge and take those chances. So that's why Hayden getting out front, getting that gap was so important. And you saw Tom, he was matching his times, but again, what was he doing to run that? And I think that's where you end up losing that time, and Hayden just rides away.
Send it back to AC. Adam?
It's cool seeing Hayden Deegan really lead from the front of the race the whole time. We've seen him come through the pack many times, and I think part of that aggressive kind of aggro mindset that he has, it's really easy once you get the start and you pull a little bit of a lead, it's really easy to get kind of a defensive mentality, get a mentality where you're trying not to screw up, where you need to kind of stay offensive, stay in front of you, and it kind of just basically encapsulates his attitude, which is just always forward, always aggressive, always sending it.
No doubt about that. Adam lead up to 14 seconds, so we'll see if Vial has something for him in the second moto. But here, Deegan has taken on all comers.
You know, I wonder, has Hayden talked to Eli Tomac a little bit, because he has that little bit of that head swag. As Eli always gets in the corner, he kind of leans his head a little bit. When I was watching Hayden in practice, it looked like he was doing that, feet on the pegs, you know, using his body, leaning his head to dictate where his bike was going. So watching Hayden, especially earlier in this race, definitely had he adapted his body and his riding style to suit this racetrack. And we know Eli Tomac, riding the sand, the dude was one of the best ever at doing it.
Yeah, white flag is out. Hope maybe to get Tomac back at the races, recovering from a thumb injury. Yeah, I feel that Deegan's style on the bike looks totally different than a year ago.
No, it definitely it looks different than it did a week ago, a couple weeks ago. And that just shows you how much this kid is aware and willing to adapt. And that's why he's so good. And I've been impressed with Hayden. One, all these guys got talent out here. We know how good they are. And the Star Racing team, they breed champions. But to me, Hayden, from how he's came up and you know, having a father right there, Brian Deegan, being so successful, when you watch Hayden rides, his attitude and the way he rides a motorcycle, he rides like a person who comes from nothing. And usually, like, when you have, you know, being in a position to be able to pick and choose whatever you want to do, whether it's football or whatever you want to do, hang out, Hayden rides like he has nothing. And that's why you hear, just to have the chip on his shoulder and have that mindset is kind of rare, actually, to be in that position he has. And it's really cool to see. And that's why this kid is, one, great, but that's why I have so much respect for. He's doing this because the truth of love, I wanting to go out there and compete, and that's rare to have at this level.
Yeah, we say it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, he's doing it with grit and heart. Yeah, and a rider in his position, his family already successful, he could have probably just done freestyle or something like that and not had to train so hard, not had to work so hard, and still found some success.
Yeah.
No, he's not taking any shortcuts. He's doing it the hardest possible route.
Yeah, and that's what and this was no disrespect to any of the riders, because they all have grit and heart. I guess what my point was he's out there riding like he hasn't a goal. Like, okay, I'm hungry. I gotta ride this way because I need to feed myself. I need to feed my family. So that's what I mean by, like, he's racing out there as a person who has nothing. And that, to me, just shows how determined this kid is, that he's really just doing that, and his mindset's that way because he wants it to be that way. There's no reason for him to be that way besides, I want to go out and win, and that's what he's doing.
Yep, no doubt about it. Answering the call here in the sand of Southwick to lead up to 15 seconds on the final lap. Should be one to go here. Hayden Deegan answers another big question. 6th Moto win of the year for the 38. And has he ever taken control of what we